homies, and welcome to the conclusion of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. This journey has come to an end and has been one of the most fun things I've done in a while on the stream. I loved every second of it. I wish there was more game. That's my big takeaway from this. I wish there was more game, but it is limited by its generation. It's somewhat, with the PS2, they did what they could, I think, in terms of scale of the game. They certainly threw a lot at it, whether it be, I wonder how much of the budget went to the voice actors, because there's a hell of a lot. They really scoured the planet for top-tier voice actors, obviously celebrities, movie stars, to be part of this, which I assume was a huge, huge draw to the game. Not only that, the radio station that was the default one, we replaced it, obviously, to make this thing happen. The conclusion of the game is easily one of the better conclusions I've seen to a video game of this scale. They really went all out and pushed what they could into it. The huge cinematic chase. It starts with bringing down Smoke, your OG homie from the very beginning of the game. Where you have to bring him down. He's now become kind of a drug lord. You know, he's a crack lord. In fact, he lives in a crack fortress, is what you storm. I set the place ablaze. I had a flamethrower, and it's like a boss fight, but I just burned the whole building down, so he was constantly on fire. It was interesting that they didn't ask Smoke's voice actor to record any pain sounds, so they had the default NPC pain sounds for him, which was really odd. But grilled the whole place after storming it by stealing a tank and driving it through the walls of the building into the crack fortress, which then turns into, clearly inspired by Con Air, which is great for me. I'm a huge fan of that movie. Con Air is one of my, I wouldn't even say it's a guilty pleasure. It's just a fun movie. It's just a completely ridiculous. Garland Green. The introduction of Steve Buscemi as Garland Green is just phenomenal. Everybody in there, from Diamond Dog, Cyrus the Virus, all those characters, really great. Is a fire engine escape with Sweet, your brother, hanging off the back. You got to catch him in the car. The whole city is ablaze because the riots, which were inspired by the 1992 riots, are all happening across LA. There's cars exploding everywhere. People are shooting at each other. The whole thing is going on to lead to bringing down Samuel L. Jackson, who becomes the final villain of the game, who crashes off a bridge into the original Grove Street hood, the neighborhood where it all began. It comes full circle as you bring him down. What a phenomenal conclusion to the game. That's the conclusion. So, there's no getting away from this. This is like an S tier game. It is. It's by far an S tier game. It could have been S+++. It could have been. I have some criticisms that are a little disappointing, but I get it at the same time, which is why I'm not like super mad about it. I do get it, but it's like, you just missed. You just missed a little bit. Like, you hit the bullseye, but you were aiming at the bullseye and you just kind of hit the outside. It was like super close. It was right there. One of them was, as you get to the end of the game, your brother gets out of prison. Sweet. Now, at this point in the game, story-wise, not even if you've done side quest stuff, you own garages in San Francisco, multiple showrooms. You own a stake in a giant casino in Las Vegas. You're doing you have a mansion on the hill. You're doing extremely well. Your sister is running this business empire that you're growing. You have property all over the city. You are in a really, really solid spot. You got yourself out of the hood. Sweet, though, doesn't care about any of that. Sweet wants to get the hood right. Now, there's a nobleness to it, but it is so fundamentally flawed that it really annoyed me. It's so fundamentally flawed because there's so much more we could do for this community given the position that CJ has got himself into now that isn't just running around shooting meth heads and beating people to death and doing all this kind of stuff, which is what the game makes you do. And it does make you do it. At the very beginning of the game, you have turf wars with the local gangs. Like, the Ballers is the one that I remember the most, the purple ones. And you can get into little gang wars, which takes over a little quadrant of the map. And so you end up painting the map from a mix of green, purple, and yellow to all green. Now, I did a bit of that, but it was kind of tedious. One of the reasons... one of the faults that I think Grand Theft Auto has in general, and I think later on they added in headphones, is that when you're out on the street doing gameplay that isn't in a car, there's no radio or music, like, at all. It's just you and your gun. And it definitely pulls you out because it feels so much less fun without some sort of soundtrack, which Grand Theft Auto was known for, booming away at the same time. I'm pretty sure in 5 at least, and maybe they did it in 4, but I haven't played 4, they introduced headphones so you could have music while you were out in the streets. So it got kind of tedious to just take over. The gang warfare is okay. The AI in the game is very 2004. One thing that became very noticeable is that the AI of the enemy gangs that spawn, because it's wave-based combat, so you do 3 waves of enemies, can only really run on sidewalks, pavement. If you're stood in the street, they just don't know how to get to you. And what they'll do is they'll stick to the sidewalk and pavement, and they will just run in the wrong direction forever. And I mean forever, like off the map. And if you stand on the pavement, they'll immediately turn around and start running back to you. It's very hilarious, so you can manipulate them. Sometimes they will go into the street, but most of the time when they spawn, they're trying to path to you, and they need to use the sidewalk. I think that's to avoid them getting run over or something like that, but it's very funny. But it's also not that fun gameplay-wise, right? Because you're like, oh, okay, I could just step off the sidewalk, and they'll just turn around and run away from me, because they're very deadly. Even at this point in the game, you can die extraordinarily easily. So I did that for about half an hour at the beginning of the game, and I was like, okay, we'll come back to this later. Like, I don't want to just sit here and sort of like the sound of not particularly great Foley sound effects for the guns. We want to go and do some other stuff. But they cut that off. Like, CJ gets moved away from the hood and ends up doing like a good 2/3 of the game away from the hood. And so that gang warfare stuff just stops. Like, it's not there anymore. You're not involved in Grove Street anymore. At the end of the game, though, in the last sort of 2 hours, that all comes back. And all that territory you took at the beginning of the game is taken over because you haven't been in the hood for like 2/3 of the game. And so the other gangs have just taken over completely. And what the game forces you to do is take over a good portion of the area, maybe 8 or 9 segments of gang warfare before the story will continue. And there isn't, if you've been playing the game, there isn't much else for you to do at that point, really. So you're just kind of locked into doing this process for a good portion of time. Not that fun. Really not that fun. But it is setting up this weird story of Sweet's like, we've got to fix the hood, man. We've got to sort it out. And it's like, well, we could do so much more. We're raking in crazy amounts of money. Like, I'm basically a multi-millionaire at this point if I wanted to be. I've not even been collecting my cash from my businesses, and I still have over 600,000 cash in the bank just on me. We could do so much more than go to these low-level areas just murdering people. But Sweet wants it to keep you grounded. You're getting a big head, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is dumb. This is really stupid. It makes no sense that we would go back to doing this low-level crime at this point. We're way beyond that. We've blown up Hoover Dam. We've flown, you know what I mean? We're flying jet fighters and attacking boats and stuff like that. And now we're back to just sort of like street crime. We feel like the anti-Batman. We went away and became Bruce Wayne, and then came back to start beating the shit out of all these people. It's kind of funny. It's funny, but I didn't connect with this part of the story. I was like, this is just really stupid, and nobody seems to be addressing the obvious better ways we could be going about this, which would be way more beneficial for people. Taking down the crack factories, all on board for that, but the rest of the stuff of just gunning down hundreds of people in the street, not so much. But we did all that, and it was great, and that led to the story of the game. My only other real criticism is the same one I mentioned in the first video, is the side content just doesn't go anywhere. I think this is a major step back from Vice City. Vice City had similar sort of stuff. However, the way they structured what you did in Vice City, I went back and checked, was that they had all the side quests like get the ice cream van, which is actually going to be the drug deals and things like that. But you felt like you were becoming the kingpin of the city. Like, they framed it in a way that fit into what the overall narrative of the game was. Is that you are rising up to be Scarface, right? You are rising up to be the absolute dominant force of Vice City itself. And in doing so, you're taking over all the criminal enterprises across the city. And that gave a good structure to it, because you got a genuine reward at the end of it, a little bit of story thrown in there. And it felt like, okay, I now control, almost painting the map itself, I now control the city. In San Andreas, they have a bunch of cool stuff. I did the arena stuff where you're doing stunt bike work, but it's not difficult. I got first place every single time, first time. And it doesn't do anything. What it actually does is spawn a car outside of that arena. But they're out of the way. And this constantly comes up. They're out of the way and they're not convenient. So, buying properties just gives you another save location that doesn't have any utility to it whatsoever. I think what they should have done, at least as a minor thing, is every property you bought came with a permanently spawning car unless you replaced it in their garage. Because then it would be a bit more useful, because I did drop into occasional save points to reset my wanted level or something like that. And they all mostly have garages, but there's nothing in them. The game expects you in some way to go around getting cars and putting them in all your properties. But once again, we fall into that problem. It's like, if you use that car, it's gone. You have to replace it. They should have just made it so that a car spawns in. If you buy a property, that garage comes with a car. That would be much nicer. So if you pull up with a wanted level, your car's damaged or whatever, you go into the save point, you save, you come out, you've got a fresh car waiting for you in the garage, which is, depending on the price of the property, is something nicer. That would have been easy. My favorite area of the game was in the middle in San Francisco, because our main point hub was the first garage that we won in a race, and round the corner was the driving school, which spawned the nicest car as a permanent spawn in the game. It was brilliant, an absolutely brilliant car, and I regularly just ran down the road to pick that car up every time I could. I would even steal a car to drive 2 blocks to pick up that car, because it made the game so much more fun. Would have loved to have seen something like that. Similarly with all the side missions, none of them were really worthwhile doing, which was really a shame. Really a shame. Like, if you do all the pimping stuff, it's interesting and fun. You know, you're dropping off all the hoes, and then some of them are getting rough with the girls, so you beat them up, and then you become the top pimp. But the reward for doing that is prostitutes now pay you if you pick them up. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't even know you could pick up prostitutes. I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. I never utilized that system one time. Not once. Doing all the taxi missions. Now all the taxis that you get into have a nitro button. I don't want to drive a taxi. Do you know what I mean? I don't really want to drive a taxi. They suck. They suck compared to a lot of the other cars that are on the roads. You know what I mean? So it just didn't feel worthwhile in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what you get if you take over all of the gang territory, but I suspect it's an achievement. It's very tedious, and I was asking about it. I'm like, this is no way this is worth it. It was like capping the girlfriends. So I put some effort into capping Denise, because Michelle is the other girlfriend. There's two other girlfriends I found, Michelle, and I can't remember the other person's name. I think it was Millie. Millie was very fun, actually. She's a fetish queen. She has like a big sex dungeon and stuff like that. She's very fun, but I'd already capped Denise by then and knew it wasn't worth it. Because you get the reward like halfway through her progress bar. Like every time you take her on a good date, you get like 10%, so 10 dates caps them out. And it gave me access to her car. Okay. There's a car outside her house, which is a nice car. But, yeah. So when it got to Millie, she's really fun, but the dates are the same. I was really hoping they would vary the dates up, because she's a fetish queen. So you would think you would go into like weird bars and stuff like that, but you don't. You just do the same stuff as you do with Denise, and as you do with Michelle. And her car's not very good either. So I was like, yeah, it's not worth it. You don't get anything for capping it out. You got an outfit. I think I got a pimp outfit for capping Denise, but I'm not going to wear that anyway. So it's there's subjectively, maybe it's worthwhile for completionist's sake. This was during the era of one game for like 6 months, so you probably did collect all the clams and horseshoes and things like that to go out there. But that was my only criticism, and it's kind of minor. I had fun, because I had fun doing all those things. I had fun capping out the pimping. I had fun doing the taxi rides. I was listening to the radio, just driving around and chilling. Like, the actual process, that was fun. Just no reward or link up or narrative structure to really enhance why you do it. And that would have been really nice. Like, I am comparing this to Vice City. It's the one I enjoyed the most. But I distinctly remember really enjoying, like, by the time you get the mansion, is like you had a Lamborghini spawn outside all the time. You just had this, and you had a weapons armory. They never solved that, as far as I know, in San Andreas. Like, if you die, you're kind of limited to going to ammunition to just buy a bunch of guns. And occasionally, like, dating Millie does get you access to, like, the dildo. I don't know where you get the katana from. These are really cool weapons. And you just lose them all. And you could die very randomly in San Andreas. Like, you can just turn... On a dime, you can just die. And you lose all that stuff. I know some people will be like, well, just reload the game. I don't really like doing that unless, you know, I died while I was AFK going to the bathroom or something like that. I like to just continue with the game, but I think you should have been able to outfit an armory, you know, something like that give you some of... It definitely feels... I guess this is the problem, right, that they struggled with the PS2, is like they really struggled to be able to write a bunch of data for your playthrough because they were limited to the memory cards, right? So they probably just couldn't save that data anywhere to allow you to do that stuff. But I think the solution that they could have done quite easily is just had story triggers or business triggers like they did with Vice City. It's like, if you've reached this point, like you've found Millie and you're dating Millie and you've unlocked the dildo, that will now spawn in your house. You unlock the spray can from very early in the game with Mummy in order to do graffiti. That now spawns in every property you have. Like, simple triggers like that, I think, would have made sense. And set spawn car locations is clearly something they have in the game. Put them in the garages of the properties you get. That's it. Overall, though, absolutely phenomenal game. Really good. Really pushed the boundaries of what that console was capable of and adored every second of it. Really fantastic. Had the best time and was just sad it was over. Wanted more. Really just wanted more. Which leads us to the inevitable Grand Theft Auto 4. As I mentioned earlier, I've never played it. Given what we wanted to do with San Andreas and didn't really have time to do because it was a bit short, we're going to take some time before we jump into that. So it's something to look forward to because we can go way bigger in terms of creating our own world than we did here. So we'll be saving it for them. Our next journey, though, I think you're going to be very happy with because I'm excited for it because I've always wanted to play it, is we are going into Deus Ex. Human Revolution, I think, is the first one. Or Mankind Divided. One of those two. One of those two. We're jumping in. Jensen's back. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.